Prince William opens up on discussing the topic with their kids, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. William admits during an interview with Brazilian TV host Luciano Huck, shared to Instagram on November 9th,
"Have you ever wondered what could make Prince William break down in front of everyone he loves? Something happened behind closed doors at the royal residence, something so personal that it left him in tears. It wasn't just another royal scandal, and it wasn't a fleeting worry. It was something that touched the heart of his family in ways no one could have imagined." Catherine, usually composed and serene, had been acting differently for weeks. Small things. A distracted glance here, a hesitation there, moments that seemed insignificant until suddenly they weren't. The children sensed it too, feeling the tension in the air without understanding why, and then came the moment that changed everything. A truth so heavy, so intimate, that when Catherine finally shared it,
Prince William has opened up about Kate's cancer battle and how the couple navigated that difficult time with their 3 children.
William's world seemed to shatter in front of him. What was she hiding? Why had she waited? And how would this revelation affect their children, their family, and the life they had built together? Stay with us as we take you inside that fateful day, revealing the secret that brought one of the most composed men in the world to his knees. The answers will shock you, and the story you're about to hear is nothing like what anyone expected. The signs, something was wrong. It all began months before that fateful day, in ways so small that no one could have guessed the storm that was coming. Catherine, normally cheerful and full of energy, started to behave differently. William noticed subtle changes, first brief moments where her smile seemed forced, her laughter slightly delayed. She began declining invitations she usually loved, citing tiredness or scheduling conflicts that didn't make sense. It wasn't dramatic, just a quiet unease creeping into daily life. The children picked up on it too. George, always observant, asked questions that seemed innocent, but carried the weight of curiosity.
"Their eldest is getting a little more mature. There's always a chance that he'll show up with his parents at public events."
Only a child can have. Charlotte noticed her mother staring at the garden for long stretches, her thoughts somewhere else, a look of sadness hidden behind calm eyes. Louis, too young to fully understand, still sensed the tension, asking more often why Mommy looked so tired. Even the palace staff began whispering, unsure if what they were seeing was real or imagined. William tried to connect. He replayed conversations in his mind, searching for the exact moment something had changed. Every subtle detail seemed like a clue, but nothing added up. One evening, Catherine excused herself during dinner, claiming a headache. William followed her upstairs, only to find her sitting quietly, phone in hand, tears glistening in her eyes. When he asked what was wrong, she insisted it was nothing, just stress, she said. But the look in her eyes told a different story. Over the following weeks, patterns emerged. Catherine spent hours alone in the study, sometimes reading documents that appeared routine, but her focus was intense, almost desperate. She asked George and Charlotte unusual questions, probing gently into their thoughts and feelings, as if preparing them for something none of them could yet understand. William watched carefully, torn between respecting her privacy and the growing sense that something serious was being kept from him. Even in public, her composure seemed fragile. Observers noted small hesitations during appearances, the way she clutched her hands briefly, the quiet moments when she seemed to vanish into thought. William felt the tension at home growing, like a shadow slowly darkening their family life. And though no words had yet been spoken, the weight of what Catherine carried pressed on him, leaving him anxious, restless, and quietly fearing the unknown. These small signs, seemingly ordinary, were the calm before a storm. Every glance, every pause, every question from the children was a hint that something extraordinary was about to unfold. No one knew just how deep the revelation would cut, or how profoundly it would shake the family. Body Section 2. The Day of the Announcement. The morning began like any other, with the usual bustle of breakfast and children's laughter filling the royal residence. Yet beneath the familiar routine, an invisible tension hung in the air. Catherine moved quietly, her eyes darting at the clock more often than usual, her hands trembling ever so slightly as she poured juice. William noticed immediately that this was not normal. He had learned to read her expressions, the subtle shifts that revealed far more than words ever could. The children sensed it too. George kept glancing at his mother, puzzled by her unusual quietness. Charlotte fidgeted, sensing that something important was about to happen, but not knowing what Louis, in his innocent way, asked repeated questions. But Catherine could only offer gentle reassurances, words that failed to mask the weight she carried. By mid-morning, Catherine had called the family to the sitting room. The children, confused but obedient, gathered on the couches, their tiny faces reflecting curiosity and unease. William stood nearby, tense and silent, feeling the gravity of the moment even before a word had been spoken. The air seemed thicker, charged with anticipation, every heartbeat echoing louder than usual. Catherine took a deep breath and began. Her voice, though steady, carried the tremor of someone holding back a tidal wave of emotion. She explained that what she was about to share had been weighing on her for months.
William has spoken candidly about the conversations he and his wife Kate had with their children following her cancer diagnosis. He also talked about the smaller struggles of modern family life.
A burden she had hoped to understand fully before revealing it to her family. William's heart pounded. He knew this wasn't just about schedules, obligations, or a minor concern. It was something that reached deep into their lives, touching the children he cherished more than anything in the world. The revelation came slowly, each word carefully chosen, yet heavy with meaning. Catherine spoke of medical decisions, of procedures they had undergone to ensure the well-being of their children, and then of the shocking truth she had discovered. Elements of those treatments had been manipulated without their knowledge. William felt a chill as he absorbed her words, the pieces of months-long unease falling into place. It wasn't just a family matter, it was a violation of trust, an intrusion that no parent should ever endure. The children's reactions were immediate and raw. George's eyes widened, Charlotte clasped her hands tightly, and Louis looked to his parents for guidance. William struggled to maintain composure, the weight of the secret pressing down on him. Tears welled in his eyes not just for the shock, but for the love he felt for his family and the unimaginable pain Catherine had carried alone. Even as Catherine continued, explaining the steps she had taken to understand the full scope of the situation, William's mind raced. Questions, fears, and protective instincts collided. How had this happened? Could it have lasting consequences? And most importantly, how could they protect their children now? Every word she spoke was a step into uncharted territory, a moment that would redefine their family forever. By the end of the announcement, the room was heavy with emotion. The children clung to each other. William reached out to Catherine, and a fragile but unbroken family stood together, bracing for the journey ahead. What began as a quiet, ordinary morning had become a turning point, a moment that would be remembered for the honesty, courage, and the bond it ultimately strengthened. William's struggle and emotional turmoil. As Catherine finished sharing the secret, William felt as though the ground had shifted beneath him. His mind raced, unable to focus on one single thought for more than a moment. Questions collided. How long had she known? Why hadn't she told him sooner? And above all, what did this mean for George, Charlotte, and Louis? The weight of responsibility pressed down harder than anything he had faced before. He excused himself quietly, leaving the sitting room with his children stunned behind him. In the solitude of his study, William sank into a chair, hands gripping his face, tears slipping despite years of training to maintain composure. He remembered every challenge he had faced, his mother's loss, public scrutiny, and the unending pressure of royal duties. But nothing compared to the fear he now felt for his own children. The tears were not weakness. They were the raw, unfiltered response of a father confronting the unimaginable. Sleep that night offered no relief. Every creak of the house, every distant laugh of the children, sent his mind spiraling. He imagined scenarios, some terrifying, some impossible, and tried to make sense of them. Every thought circled back to Catherine. She had carried this alone for months. Why hadn't he noticed? Could he have done more? The guilt gnawed at him relentlessly. Even public appearances became exercises in endurance. William smiled, nodded, and greeted crowds, yet inside, his mind replayed the moment in the sitting room. Every handshake felt heavy, every wave a mask hiding a storm of anxiety. Friends and staff noticed subtle changes, the tension in his jaw, the occasional faraway stare, but none could fully grasp the private turmoil he endured. William's struggle wasn't just emotional, it was moral. How do you process a truth that shakes the foundation of your family? How do you make decisions for children who have unknowingly been affected by circumstances beyond anyone's control? Every action felt both urgent and impossible, every decision carrying consequences that might last a lifetime. He realized he could not act alone. He needed Catherine, and yet she had been absent in his mind as the bearer of this secret. In private moments with the children, William found himself alternating between reassurance and fear. He tried to smile, to explain that they were loved and safe, yet inside, the questions remained unanswered. George, always the eldest, sensed the tension and asked probing questions. Charlotte, sensitive to emotion, watched every reaction, every sigh. And Louis, innocent and trusting, clung to him, unaware of the storm surrounding them. William realized that his children needed stability, but his own world had shifted in ways that made it impossible to feel fully grounded. By the end of the week, William understood one thing: the tears, the anxiety, the endless replaying of conversations. It was all part of processing a reality that could not be undone. He resolved to face it head-on, to protect his children, and to navigate this challenge alongside Catherine. Every tear shed, every sleepless night, and every moment of doubt was a step toward understanding, toward strength, and toward preserving the family he loved more than life itself. The question remained, how would they move forward after this revelation? Stay with us, because the next chapter reveals the decisions, confrontations, and hope that would ultimately define the family's future. The family confronts the truth. The sun streamed through the tall windows of the sitting room, but the warmth it offered did nothing to ease the heaviness inside. Catherine had insisted that the children needed clarity, that avoiding the truth would only make fear grow in their minds. William stood close, his hand resting lightly on her shoulder, a silent reassurance that they would face this together. George, Charlotte, and Louis sat on the couches, their small bodies tense, eyes wide with anticipation. George, as the oldest, sensed more than they realized. "Mom, what's happening? Why does everything feel wrong?" he asked, his voice steady but curious, testing the waters for honesty. Charlotte, sensitive as always, hugged her knees, trying to make sense of the tension that filled the room. Louis, too young to grasp the full scope, looked between his parents, searching for safety in their expressions. Catherine's voice, though calm, trembled slightly as she spoke. She explained that decisions made years ago to help them start a family had taken an unexpected turn. The medical procedures, which were meant to secure healthy pregnancies, had been tampered with without their knowledge. She detailed the discovery of unauthorized modifications, the legal steps she had taken, and the experts she had consulted. Every word hung in the air, weighty and sharp, cutting through the innocence of routine childhood. George's eyes narrowed as he tried to process the information. "So someone changed us? Without asking?" His voice cracked slightly, a mixture of confusion and rising anger. Charlotte's face flushed as she whispered, "Does that mean we're not normal?" Louis's small voice asked, "Are we sick?" The children's questions landed heavily, each one a reminder of the impossible reality Catherine had uncovered. William stepped forward, his expression gentle but firm. "You are still our children. Nothing that was done without our knowledge changes who you are inside. You are loved. You are wanted. You are our family, always." His voice wavered as he spoke, the words genuine, carrying the weight of a father confronting both outrage and helplessness. Catherine reached out, taking George's hand, then Charlotte's, and finally Louis's. She knelt before them, eyes glistening with tears, and promised that they would navigate this together. "We didn't know, and we couldn't control it, but we can control how we move forward," she said softly. Her words were a lifeline, a beacon of hope amid the storm of betrayal and confusion. The conversation was not easy. George struggled to reconcile the loving parents he knew with the reality that others had made decisions affecting him without consent. Charlotte, usually composed, broke down intermittently, tears flowing as she processed the enormity of the situation. Louis, too young for full comprehension, clung to William, absorbing emotion through touch rather than understanding. Over the following hours, the family moved slowly through a mix of emotion and reflection. They revisited memories of the children's early years, finding comfort in routines and stories that reminded them of shared love and connection. William shared moments of pride, stories of achievements and challenges, reinforcing that their identity was built not by genetics alone, but by choices, experiences, and the bonds they shared. Catherine emphasized resilience, courage, and the strength to rise despite circumstances beyond their control. As evening approached, a fragile sense of unity began to emerge. George, still processing, asked questions that revealed curiosity rather than resentment. Charlotte created sketches to express what words could not, turning confusion into art. Louis, sensing the calmer energy, laughed at something William said, a small but significant reminder that normalcy, though fragile, was possible. Even in private moments after the confrontation, William and Catherine reflected on the extraordinary challenge they now faced. They knew that media scrutiny, public opinion, and ongoing legal battles would soon intrude, but for these hours, they had given the children the gift of truth, honesty, and love. The day had been shattering, yet it also forged a new strength, a shared understanding that no matter the external chaos, the family's bond remained intact. The revelation had been painful, the emotions raw, but confronting the truth together planted the seeds for healing. The children learned that honesty, even when frightening, could strengthen trust. William realized that his tears were not signs of weakness, but of profound commitment to protecting his family. And Catherine understood that carrying the burden alone had only delayed, not prevented, the strength they could find together. Rebuilding trust and facing the world. The following weeks were unlike anything William and Catherine had experienced. The private heartbreak had spilled into every corner of their lives, but they were determined to protect their children and restore a sense of normalcy. Conversations were longer now, filled with honesty and careful explanations. George, still grappling with the revelation, began asking questions not out of anger, but out of a desire to understand who he was beyond the circumstances of his birth. Charlotte poured her feelings into drawings, sharing each one with her parents, and in those moments, the family discovered new ways to communicate. Media speculation was relentless. Rumors circulated about the so-called designer children, and social media buzzed with theories that made the palace walls feel tighter than ever. William and Catherine decided to shield the children, creating a safe space at home where questions could be asked and emotions felt without judgment. School counselors were brought in, and private sessions helped the children process the shock. Slowly, laughter returned to the home, punctuating the serious conversations with glimpses of hope. trust between William and Catherine deepened as they navigated these challenges together. They realized that partnership wasn't just about shared decisions. It was about shared burdens. Even when the weight was unimaginable, every small moment of clarity, every tear shed together, and every hug reinforced their bond. By facing the truth, not hiding from it, the family began to redefine strength. They learned that love could heal, that honesty could empower, and that even after the most devastating news, life could continue with courage. The world outside might judge, speculate, and question, but within these walls, trust, resilience, and love were the forces that held them together. As the days turned into weeks, the weight of the revelation slowly eased, replaced by a quiet determination to move forward. William and Catherine learned that even in the most painful circumstances, family could be a source of strength, understanding, and unconditional love. They discovered that healing wasn't a straight path. It came in moments, sometimes small and almost invisible, like a shared smile, a laugh during breakfast, or a hug after a long day. The children, though still processing, began to find their own sense of identity beyond the shock. George started exploring his passions with renewed curiosity. Charlotte turned her feelings into art that inspired those around her, and little Louis reminded everyone of the joy and innocence that even a storm couldn't erase. Together, the family learned that truth, even when painful, could bring them closer, forging bonds stronger than before. What this story teaches us is that resilience, honesty, and love can overcome even the most unimaginable challenges. The road ahead may still be uncertain, but the family has proven that unity and trust can light the way. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more authentic and untold stories from inside the royal world. Stay with us, because every family has secrets, and every truth has a story waiting to be revealed.